Hi, everyone. It's Email and Coffee with Joy Brooks. Today, I'm talking with Linda Clark, a marketing expert in the field. Hey, Linda. And it is Email and Coffee. So before we get into introductions, let's just talk a little bit about coffee. I'm drinking my favorite, Black Rifle Coffee, which is a company that is veteran-owned and is known to give back all of their profits to what they say, supporting veterans, law enforcement, and first responders. So cheers. Linda, what are you drinking?
I am drinking chock full of nuts. Very interesting brand story, but that's a conversation for another day.
Cheers. So Linda, tell us a little bit about yourself once you slurp.
I am a marketing advisor. I come from the creative side. I was a creative director, a freelancer for several Long Island agencies over decades. We won't say how many decades. And now I have a handful of my own clients that are smaller businesses, mostly referrals. And we work on quarterly marketing plans, usually looking ahead to a year, maybe 2 years. And email is always a big part of my recommendation, but I do have some challenges executing it because of one good example is the list itself. Bigger companies tend to have well-established lists if they've been in business for a while, they've been managing their list, but particularly, and some of the big companies have issues too, believe me, but with the small businesses, it's hard to get them to build a list to begin with. And maintain that list. So I get a lot of questions as to, isn't there a way to automate the process? And there are certain ways that I know of, and maybe you know of some others, Joy, but it's going to be work, and it's worth it because email is a great platform. It's a powerful platform, and it doesn't necessarily have to cost a lot.
Let me see if I can talk a little bit to the list and that question.
How do you manage the list? For example, I can tell my clients I can pull down, from your contact forms on your website. I can download a spreadsheet, and we can upload that to your email marketing platform. But when it comes to people that you meet, or like, how do you get those people in between that maybe haven't done business with you yet, or you've engaged them maybe on social media, and you're emailing them essentially through the social media platform, but you don't have their email address. And I think that's a really valuable business asset. So Joy, can you help us, figure out how to manage that email list, build it, maintain it?
Well, one of the things is that to understand that there are many different businesses, so different businesses are going to handle it differently. And when you've got a bigger business with a big website, you've got the sign-up form, and it's more or less known that people are going to come and visit you. If you're Disney, people are going to come to the Disney website. If you're the History Channel, if you're a big brand that people buy shoes from, that people buy clothes from, people are going to come and do that. So they're going to purchase your goods. They're going to give you their email address, and they're going to establish themselves as a customer. But it's those smaller businesses that have a problem because it's twofold. They're advertising themselves to get known, and then they're trying to advertise themselves to get email addresses. And some of the opportunities can be simple little things that, like gated content. So if they do advertise, they have that gated content out there. It comes up.
Gated content, Joy, if I may interrupt, for those who don't know, meaning like a white paper that you can download.
A white paper or a quiz,
mm-hmm.
or simply something that asks you for some amount of information,
mm-hmm.
that you can qualify yourself to the business, so the business can decide how to manage the lead, right?
Mm-hmm.
So again, for a company that's doing direct to customer email marketing, it's so different for a company where you're a solopreneur and you're selling yourself as a coach. It's completely different business. And
right.
It's different.
So there's no one size fits all. Every customer gets its own unique strategy.
And that word is good, because the most important thing is you've got a business. Obviously, you planned it out. You didn't just wake up some morning and decided that I'm going to do this for the rest of my life or the next 5 years. You've got a business. You've thought it out. You really need to say to yourself, I need to do marketing. What are my goals? I want to make money. Okay, so it's more than just that. How am I going to make money? Okay, so as you start building these goals out, you start in with your strategies. I'm going to make sure that I go to webinars, that I have 5 events that I'm present. Whatever the strategies are. I'm going to build a website. I'm going to make myself very prominent on LinkedIn. I'm going to chat a lot on LinkedIn. I'm going to, I'm visual. I'm going to be on Instagram. I'm going to advertise that until the cows come home. These are all different types of strategies for the goal. Once you come up with those strategies, then you say to yourself, along with posting every piece of artwork I've ever done on Instagram, every once in a while, I'm going to ask people for their email address. I'm going to start gathering a list.
And it should be that simple and that direct, just like you would ask somebody their last name or something.
Exactly.
And I think it's worth pointing out here also, Joy, that when you engage someone on the social media platforms, you're engaging with them, but on somebody else's platform. The beauty about having your own email address is you own it. This is now your customer base, not some third party that can change the algorithm or change the rules on you every day. And, you're collecting metrics, you're engaging with them directly, and it's a business asset because you own that list.
You own it. And along with owning it, you have to respect it. So, you go out, you buy yourself a new pair of shoes. You don't take a hammer to it and beat it up, right? Mm-hmm. You respect it. You use it for what it's for, but you respect it. Mm-hmm. And you really need to respect that email address. So once you have that email address, you really need to say to yourself, these are the things I'm going to be doing. You can't pull the plug on it. You have to commit to it. If you need to commit at 3 months and 3 months and 3 months and 3 months, that's fine, but commit to it. Mm-hmm. Don't do something for a week and say it's not working.
So we talked about asking people directly, right? So you're already engaged, whether it's social media or you're hosting some kind of a webinar or something, or doing a podcast. What are some of the other ways that you can collect email addresses? We spoke about downloading from the website, but is there a way around the manual labor, and is the manual labor worth it, and why?
Well, it shouldn't be manual, so it should all be digital. I mean, other than you're going to a physical event and collecting cards, which becomes manual, right?
Right, then they have to be keystroked in.
Right, keystroked in. Or, you're doing other types of events where perhaps you're doing a networking event and you're literally walking around in cyberspace meeting people, which is becoming very popular. Those types of things, everything should be digital. You've got a subscription form. You've got another form for your getting content. You have a webinar that you're planning. Well, anybody who's attending the webinar must attend it through an email address.
Right.
And now they're your customer. Now, in the United States, they are your customers as soon as they give.
You need to categorize people, right? Because you're not going to send the same email to different market segments, right? So that's part of your strategy. You figure out what your market segments are.
You've got your strategy.
Mm-hmm.
These people came from this webinar. These people came from this event. These people are signing through my website. You have your strategies in place because you said to yourself, my goal is, my strategy will be, and email is part of that strategy. What am I going to do with these people? And you should come up with some sort of a plan. There should be some sort of a funnel that you're driving people through, but it should be applicable to where you're getting this content. Now, again, if you're an insurance agent, if you're a financial agent, or if you're a creative designer, right? You are applying your skills or sharing your expert skills with your customers on the level of, guess what? I want your work. I want you to pay for the service.
Well, that's true, but I think
I
in
want
order
you
to
to,
engage them in the first place, you have to give them something of value. And
there's always the
knowledge.
value prop, always the value prop.
You want to be an educator, you want to be a thought leader.
Exactly, and that's the value prop. Now, you may be saying, I will provide expert advice like I'm a lawyer, so I never do anything but people call me. But they shouldn't be calling you for free, right? The financial agent can give you some financial advice to a limit, but he shouldn't be giving it away for free, right? So, you should think through the process, obviously, and develop some sort of a method, very light sketch outline of how you intend to market through email marketing. Once you do that, right, you've assembled how you're going to get the list. You're not assuming you're going to be getting 50,000 people every day. If you get 10 people a day and you're a solopreneur, that's a miracle in itself. If you get
That's a lot, yeah.
a month, it's good business, right? So the solopreneur is going to be very different than the financial agent, because he's not going to make any money on 10 people a month. You would, right?
So like one of the other things that I hear from new clients sometimes, especially small businesses, is, well, no, I don't have a list, but I'll purchase a list.
Never
And
a good idea.
that's loaded with problems. So tell us a little bit about that.
You can't upload a list that's been purchased because it's loaded with spam traps. It's loaded with old names that have churned out because people give away email addresses that are not even their real email address just to get a purchase, just to get that promotional gift, just to get through the day. They'll give away an email address. So no, you don't want to buy a list.
Is that true across the board, or is there a good way to buy a list? Or
across the board? Some of the lesser no-nos are associations. So you deal with a networking group, and that networking is a vertical, and they have a list. Well, you don't take their list. You ask them, would you email on my behalf? Let them deal with it. It's their list. Give them the content. If it's applicable, if it's a good vertical, let them email you out. If it costs you something, you obviously handle the negotiation. But that's a better situation than saying, oh, can you give me your list? Because that list isn't expecting to hear from you. So, you're going to hit the ground, literally squash.
So what can happen? What are some of the pitfalls, and why is that important in terms of selecting a platform? Because I know the platform has some built-in.
Right. What you're trying to do with your email marketing is you're trying to really build a reputation. So you've got this digital software out there in cyberspace, sending email out in your name. It's not your email address. It's the ESP's email platform. So you're sending it out through their platform. And when you're sending it to an email address, it's not coming from your personal inbox. It's coming from a mechanism through that email service provider. So you've got all of these things going on, technically in the background, that are making noise before you even get your email out. If your list is full of garbage, that noise in the background is set up to hear that. It's set up to find that first thing. So that list of yours, it may be only 2,000 names, and it may have 15 names in there that are deaf before you even get off the ground.
Why would they be deaf before you even get off the ground?
They're called honeypots. So all an ESP needs to see, you load it up. A honeypot is an email address that has been gone into legacy. You had an email address with Hotmail. You decide never to use it again. You didn't tell Hotmail you're not using it, but they can see you're inactive. They grab it in their name. They close it. You can't use it anymore. But they know that the only way people can get it is if they ever had your email address, which you never use anymore. That becomes a honeypot. Anybody who has that email address is a spammer, because you would not have given that away. All right?
So what happens, in other words, is then So my client purchases an email address and it has these bad email addresses. They purchase an email list and it has these bad email addresses in it. What happens then? How do you
load it up. The algorithm in the back end of the email service provider goes through your list, does a little checking, goes, oh, 1, bing, 2, bing, 3, bing. And at some point in time, it hits that threshold and your list is suspended. And you get this little email saying, your account is suspended. You uploaded a list, which is suspect. Please, blah, blah, blah. And that's it. You're done. You're done. So so now you paid for an ESP. Maybe you've created all this content. You've uploaded your list. It's not your list. And now you're out of the water. Fish out of water. So you don't do it that way. Mm-hmm. If you're going to start an email program and you only have 100 names of 100 people that know you and you've done business with them, start it. Don't be, if you're a shoe company and all you have is 100 names, it's not the greatest thing in the world. I understand that. But hopefully you have a website and you're going to be getting new names. So start it. Right?
So it's a feedback loop, right? So you put that email out there, you put links to your website, which in turn, continues the engagement, and you get feedback because you can follow, you're going to get stats as to what pages people visit, and you'll see.
The reputation in the back end is set up so that the different email providers, Yahoo, Gmail, Hotmail being the biggest ones. And AOL and Yahoo are now Verizon. So when I say Yahoo, we're really talking Verizon. They have algorithms in the back end, and they're pretty intelligent. They're not the same, and you don't even know what they are because Monday changes what they did last week. So good luck with that. But what it's doing is you send an email out to a Yahoo address. That person opens it. That person clicks. That person goes to the website. Yahoo says, this is a good email marketer. People like them. And as that behavior rolls out, people click, people go to the website, people buy stuff, people go back to the email, people don't delete the email. This is all setting up a very good reputation. People go to the email, people hit spam. People hit unsubscribe. That's not so bad. Believe it or not, people hitting unsubscribe is 100% better than people hitting spam.
Right.
So you send an email out and you've got 100 people and 10 people unsubscribe. Do not cry. You've got 10 people off your list that were dead weight to start with.
Mm-hmm. They weren't interested in your product or service to begin with. Mm-hmm.
Bye-bye. They're not holding your email marketing ransom because they're never going to click, they're never going to open, they're never going to engage, they're just going to delete. Get rid of them. If they hit spam, that's bad. Right? Now you're email out, and every single time you send an email out, you get hundreds of thousands of people unsubscribing, and you've got small hundreds of thousands. Let's not be dramatic. You send if it's more than 0.1%, if it's consistently more and more, yes, it's not a good thing. You've got a bad list, and you're not gathering the right contacts. So it's not so much a reason for you to panic about your email marketing. I should say about your email service provider. It's more for you to panic about your email marketing content. Obviously, the people who are signing up don't want my stuff. They're unsubscribing.
That's the beauty of doing it versus not doing it, because at least with those, if you want to call them failures or if you want to call them red flags, you're learning something, right? So maybe you thought you had 300 good names and you really only have 250. Or maybe you thought you had a good marketing strategy and great images and great content, but your target audience isn't interested in that. So you take the data, good or bad or indifferent, and don't say, oh, well, that's not what I wanted to hear, so I'm not going to listen to it.
Or I'm going to halt the program.
Take that data and learn from it.
Learn from it.
You
You had a goal, you had strategies, go back and say the strategy is to do this. Well, obviously I'm not doing that. So what is the strategy again? The strategy is to get
It's the plan, right?
and build on that strategy again.
This is my goal, and here's how I'm going to get to that goal.
Exactly.
Of course, you have to be willing to be flexible, but you also have to make that commitment, as you said in the beginning.
Exactly. You really do need to make it. Email marketing can be as much as a third of your revenue. And if you don't apply that the first time, do not give up, because you will find the secret sauce and suddenly the light bulb will go off and you'll be riding a wave that will not stop.
So it is a great business asset. It, as you're describing, does create momentum, not overnight. It's not going to happen the first 5 emails you send out. And by the way, I think your rule of thumb is what, once a month, or what's like?
Well, honestly, it
level
could
of
be once a
engagement, of
week.
course.
If you're selling shoes, you should be selling them once a week. You could, I mean, if you take a look at some brands, they sell every day, right? And people put up with it because they may want to buy something today.
Or they're waiting for that, they're monitoring, they're waiting for that right time or that right product.
The right sale.
Or they get
it may be at any point in time, the Old Navy model is every day.
So so if you're going to do something like that, of course, you need to give your target the option to set preferences, and that all goes back to selecting the right platform for your strategy.
Correct.
I see a lot of even big companies go for big complicated platforms, and they use maybe this much of it. It seems like a waste, and it's a big learning curve and a big installation for something that could be done.
It's like buying an airplane to go to the food market. Like, you don't want to do that. And the point is that you say to yourself in the beginning, okay, so my company is using Salesforce as a CRM. Congratulations, you got a CRM. That's really important. And Salesforce can be a very solid CRM. But if you start thinking to yourself, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm using Salesforce as my CRM, I think I'm going to go to the Marketing Cloud and use the Marketing Cloud. Well, it is that airplane for the food market. You don't need Salesforce Marketing Cloud. You can go with Constant Contact. It's within a budget. The point being is that you have to say to yourself, how quickly am I going to grow out of Constant Contact? Never? Good. Fine. I've got it. What are my goals? My goals are to do this. I need an order responder. I need triggers. These are things I want to do. Does Constant Contact have that? Great. I'm done. It doesn't? Oh, well, what would do it better? Oh, does ActiveCampaign do this? Oh, I like that concept. Maybe ActiveCampaign. Is it within my budget? No, it's not. Okay. You really need to think it through. You may have to call a few different providers. You may learn the hard way how to ask questions, because they're going to sell you what they want to sell you. You need to know what you want to do. That strategy, those goals need to be in place before you make those phone calls. You'll get sold a bill of goods, and you might be spending a lot of money for absolutely no reason at all, and then find that you've outgrown what you thought you were sold, or you never had it to start with, and what you wanted to do, you can't do.
And email, it can be a big elaborate program, or can be a very affordable, very manageable program that's relatively inexpensive to execute.
Well,
you do still need to take the time and take some of your marketing budget to make it part of your overall campaign, including the right kind of images and good solid messaging and that thought leadership again. But Joy, there's something in the back of my mind. I want to go back to something you said quite a bit earlier about how the platform, one of the functions of the platform is you're not putting your own email address or your company's email inbox or outbox on the line, that there's this sort of level of protection because they're sending the emails in your name. But I have sometimes a hard time making clients understand why they have to provide their address, and they have to use, they don't have to, but I encourage them to use a real person's email address as the from address, because something like sales at whatever, it raises suspicion, even if it's allowed by the email platform, which in some cases it may not be. But even if it is allowed, the message that you're sending is, I really don't want to tell you who I am. You know, it's like ringing the doorbell and leaving, you know?
It's like saying, do not
Be
reply.
upfront, be transparent, say who you are, be willing to, you know, handle the phone calls, right? That's why you're doing it in the first place. Handle the emails.
Mhm.
You know, don't be afraid to put your name on there, because it makes all the difference in terms of trust.
It does need to be a real name. It shouldn't be a function. You can have, there's a to and a reply to.
Mhm.
I should say a sender name and a
That's
reply,
an interesting point. Yeah, that's an important point, Joy.
right? So sender should be a real person. It shouldn't be a function, right? It shouldn't be info at or sales at or customer service at. Although some businesses want to do it that way because it does pose them as you're getting this email from somebody in customer service. Ooh. As opposed to, you know, we have no customer service. Good luck, you're going to buy whatever it is, and then you're going to be SOL, right? So there might be a reason to have it coming from that. But if you're an entrepreneur, or if you are posting yourself as a thought leader, the email should come from a human being. If you're in sales, you should have your email coming from your salesperson, not some God knows who or function, info at your company, because the emails are going to be coming into the inbox. Your customers are going to see them, and they're going to see whether it's really from Bob or not. They're going to see Bob at, and they're going to say, yep, I'm expecting it from Bob. I'm going to read it because Bob and I have a great relationship. I bought that from him 3 months ago, and it's coming around time. I got the budget in place. I need to talk to Bob. I'm glad I might not even look at the email. I may see the email come in and get right on the phone and call Bob up. The sale might be done in the dark. But the point is, Bob, as I said, there may be reason to do customer service. When you have the reply to, that's sort of on the underbelly of the email. So you get an email, and it's a personal kind of thing. When you hit reply to, you're replying to somebody. Well, the email that is coming commercially, the marketing email, also has that function. You just don't ever think of it, but it's there. Now, who are you replying to? A lot of people who do email marketing don't even consider it. Oh, I don't care. Oh, we're not big enough. We don't even have anybody who can get it. Thinking that they're going to get thousands of emails on a reply. They may get 50, they may get 100. But within the 50 and 100, there'll be a large percentage of out of the office messages, which can be ignored. A few people who are saying, unsubscribe me, who cannot be ignored. A few people who are saying, hi, my email address has changed, which you are ignoring, and now you're emailing to somebody who doesn't exist anymore. So that reply to is important, and that can be a function. It can be marketing at thiscompany.com. It really can be.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But the concept is that for most people, they will labor over who it's coming from and not consider who the reply might go to. Or they may not even consider either one, and they may literally not understand that it needs to be unique. And unique means if your email address, my email address is joy@somecompany.com, I should not be using joy@company.com to send out my marketing emails. Because somebody sees joy@company.com, decides to unsubscribe, then gets a personal email from me and deletes it. I thought I unsubscribed. Your name should be unique. Your email marketing should be unique. So it should not be your personal address. It could be even happen the reverse, right? a company who's doing business with you for whatever reason decides that they don't like you as your as the sales rep, and you know, or maybe your account is turned over to somebody else. Your marketing should take something into account that you are a different entity than the personal person that is emailing them.
Okay.
Anything could happen on the personal end
Mm-hmm.
that needs to be managed in some way, shape, and form on the marketing end. So
Okay,
that's
clarify
CRM
that.
that you're using in the back end as your contact management needs to always be aware of what's going on the sales end and not what's going on the personal end. You could still be talking to somebody, hey, Bob, how are your kids? As opposed to your email marketing. You're not in that position anymore. You've moved on, but you're still friends with Bob. How are your kids? How was Christmas? Don't forget, you know. In the meantime, email marketing is coming from Ann, because Ann is now in that position, and that's how it should be. So you,
So for me, all of this detail that you're getting into here is reminding me that it's really about relationships. And there are real people on both ends of the communication.
Exactly. And all of these things, you know, they get very obscured. When you're a small business owner and you're managing all of your email on a very easy end, I do the email marketing. I've got a constant contact account. I send out one email a month. I answer the phones. I do the content. I visit the people. I am at the events. It's me. Hello, it's just me. And I have a virtual assistant, but it's really me. Those things are handleable to an extent, and you're in the email platform and you can look at the metrics and you can manage it all. But once it scales out and you go from the solopreneur, perhaps to the entrepreneur, perhaps to the CEO, the CMO, the CFO, then all of those pieces become very obscure to you. You're not there anymore. Mm-hmm. And you really need to scale out and to have that email marketing program that can help you scale out. That if you need specialists, you hire the designer, you hire the HTML programmer, you hire the content writer, and then you hire somebody who can deploy it all. Those are the things you need to grow with.
And talk to us a little bit about how artificial intelligence has developed to the point where some of these correspondences, we don't want to move away from those personal relationships, because on some level, someone in your organization, whether it's a salesperson or a customer service person, should still maintain and value that personal relationship. But you can do automatic responses, and you can have, tell us what drip emails are and what they're for, and how you can time things out. And this is again part of the original strategy. You don't want to think about what you're doing next week and then what you're doing next week and what you're doing next week. You do want to be flexible in your plan, but you have a marketing strategy that covers a quarter, 2 quarters, a year, 2 years. So
automating a lot of that stuff.
The automation that can take
automating
a little bit
a lot of that stuff really will take it out of your hands, and you automate what can be automated. So somebody signs up, or somebody's manually input into a program, they get a number of emails that basically tell them who you are, what they might be getting, some things that are going on in your life, things that apply to your business, right? Those are automated. And those could be 4 months ahead. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be that you're emailing everybody. You could just put them into this funnel and let it go.
And what if I set up that funnel? What if I set up that funnel and then something changes? Can I undo that?
Yes, if you just turn an automation off.
Right.
Just turn it off.
So, and the back ends of most of these platforms are pretty user-friendly.
Most of them are. The higher you go, the different ways they manage things. So there are there's a lot of management done through tags, and there's a lot of different types of ways of identifying people in the funnel. So there are strictly sales email marketing platforms that will identify a lead, hot, cold, because you're actually pushing them through the funnel. The
So
system.
they can do something simple like tell you how many times the same person responded, and then you know that's
Well,
a
actually,
long
you can have them get tagged as through the process. So if they're doing a specific behavior over and over again, suddenly hot, literally, they're hot. Now you take a look at your email marketing platform, you pull up a segment that's hot, and you're on the phone because it's time.
Mhm.
So there are platforms that will do that for you. And this is what I'm saying. If you're a business, you do need to do that homework to find out what is my business? How does it apply? What platform should I go for? If you're strictly sales, Constant Contact may not be your platform,
Mhm.
right? You need something that's going to identify people through the different, the lifetime.
Something to help you with the monitoring, so you can.
So you can identify when it's time to sell something. You're not going to put them into an email chain
Right.
and do this.
It can't be a digital loop that
some
they get stuck
companies
in
do.
where there's no human intervention.
They've forgotten that sales, hello, this is a sales tool. Sales needs to get involved. You are trying to make money, aren't you?
But there are instances, and you're 100% on, especially for B2B or where you have a big sales force for, larger, more expensive products. But certain things like, e-commerce sites, they can close a deal through email, right? So, and that's done, the trick to that is designing the email well. To some degree, it's a bit of a user interface design challenge in that you're guiding someone through the page down to a desired action, which typically is a button. And that call to action is super important because little things like what word is in that button or what phrase is in that button might make the difference. And it's very easy to test, right? An email, you can send out half your emails with a certain word or phrase in that button in that call to action, and another set of emails with almost the same creative but a different call to action. You can test them. Very easy to get that data from email. So design is important.
Design is really important. I'm glad you said that because, once you've got all the strategic pieces in place, it's all about the eyes, right? So
very visual.
You get that email.
The initial impact is visual. So
get that email in your box. You've got, I don't know how many emails you've got in your box, right? And that keep coming in all day long. You only have a few seconds to recognize who it's coming from. Oh, this is Bob. I need to talk to Bob. Oh, look, Bob sent me a really cool message. I'm riveted. Oh, Bob sent me a lot of words on a page. No images. I don't have time. Really?
Or it may not be Bob, it may be a brand, right? So if you're loyal to a particular brand, you recognize it through the graphics.
Sometimes if it's a brand, for example, Apple, that has such a significant brand identity, it could almost send you puke on a page. And you go, wow, look at
it's about to
this.
sip my
Because
coffee.
Apple is by itself a big enough brand. But, the point is that you don't want to send puke on a page, because if Apple were to continually send puke on a page over time, everybody would say, have you noticed that Apple's been sending puke on a page? Everybody knows it's going to look like this big white background with a beautiful product. Everybody's expecting that. It's going to expect that beautiful display, because they really do tend to do that. And that's really the point. Who are you? What's your voice? Decide how often you're going to send it, what you're going to say each time. Make sure you've got a pleasant subject line, that your email sending address is pleasant. All of the housekeeping is there, and then talk to a designer to make sure that at least your hero image and your call to action are pleasing.
Mm-hmm.
And you can play with that. You can play with where it is, but you always need to keep in mind that, at least this is my belief, you've got to focus. If you don't focus each campaign, if you send out a campaign with the concept, click anywhere and you'll go anywhere, there is no focus. And unless that's all that you want to do, is to show them a whole bunch of stuff, and for whatever reason, that's all you want to do. And there are some magazines that do that. In other words, doesn't matter what you click on, it's my magazine, so click into my magazine.
Right.
Fine.
Sometimes
Fine.
that's the goal, is to get people to browse around a little bit.
Right.
Whether they're clicking
But
through
if
to
you're
your website
selling
or.
shoes, right? Then it's all about the shoes. The shoes are there in the middle of the page, beautiful picture, the call to action button, some nifty phrase about the shoes, and you're off to the races. The end. Now, you could be selling shoes and pocketbooks and socks and belts and accessories, but if this email's about shoes, it's about shoes. Next time.
Right. And you want to keep that frequency up anyway. So it's fine to have one email about shoes, the next email about pocketbooks.
Right.
And if you're using your automation correctly, if you know somebody bought a certain pair of shoes, you can send them an email about the pocketbook that matches those shoes.
If you're doing things right, exactly. And the thing is, you can do those triggers. You send it out, they click on this link. Well, if you like this, you'll also like this. Those things are available for you to do if you plan it out. And there are a lot of things that can be done with direct to consumer. Now, if you're talking about you're a solopreneur and you're a coach, what are you sending out? You're sending out stories. How long is that story? There's almost no image.
One of the beautiful things about email is that you can drive traffic to your website. So if you are a thought leader, and the way to establish that good reputation that you were talking about is to, and tell me if you disagree here, because this slightly contradicts something you said earlier, but yes, ultimately I want people to pay for my services, but I'm going to give a little bit for free. I can afford to do that. Once I establish that trust, and once I show that I know what I'm talking about, and I'm listening to you, my target audience, and I'm tailoring my message to you, I can give a little bit away for free, and then drive those people to my website, which in turn gives you more domain.
If you're a thought leader, that's exactly the way most thought leaders work. And and the concept is that if you're giving away little pieces, if I'm a lawyer, right, and I'm giving away little pieces, oh, here's a tool, here's a website, this person's talking about wealth, this person's talking about, other things,
say a will or something.
All these different things that may apply to his type of legal business. The point is, the person can't be a lawyer on their own. So you're showing them, here's some thought about this, so that when you come to me, we could talk about this intelligently.
Right.
You understand the power of attorney because I sent you to a page that discusses why you might need power of attorney. Then when you come to me, we can talk about power of attorney and sign the deal.
And by sharing that little tidbit of information, you're creating that relationship instead of sending a sales message. It's like, oh, go away. Don't.
Exactly. I want you to contact me because I can write a contract, a power of attorney contract. No, I'm going to explain to you why you might need it. You might not need it. I don't want you to come to me if you don't need it, right? I have other things that you might need. And if I show you that I can give you these values at no charge, then you'll realize, I really like the way this person is. Matter of fact, they are an expert because they've guided me. And when it's time to write the will, I'm going over them.
Mm-hmm. And that's the big shift in marketing from traditional to modern or digital. There's more transparency. There's less tolerance for sales talk and gimmicks. You have to make a sincere, you have to give something sincerely valuable, and you have to make a sincere connection.
Right, exactly.
So on that call to action, in the emails that I create for my clients, I generally do have a focus, but I also may want to give the reader several options to click on it. And then there are certain standards. So for example, I like the logo to always lead to the homepage of the client, just because it's sort of a, convention, mm-hmm. right? When you're on a website, you click on the logo, it takes you to the homepage. I like to keep that consistency to the email. So, maybe they're not ready to take action. Maybe they're top of funnel or middle of funnel. and they are considering your offer, but they're like, I don't know that much about this company. Let me find out. Let me go to their website before I.
Well, I would
Right.
argue with that because I would say if you're business to business and if you're thinking, person is cold at the beginning and you're sending emails about services, different services, you should have landing pages. And everything you send them to goes to that landing page.
Right.
As navigation.
Right. Certainly that button, that main call to action should lead to exactly.
Even the logo.
It should lead to a page dedicated to.
Everything in that email should go to that landing page. Everything.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on the bottom, which I call the housekeeping, you're going to have your address, you're going to have your website. You can have navigation down there about us, any of those other elements of your website. But the truth is, you go to a website, it has navigation at the top. As soon as they see the landing page, oh, this sort of interests me, but what else do they do? Hello, they're there at the, now they can go wherever they like. They want to go home to your home page, they can go, But if the email sends you to the home page,
So yeah, just to clarify again, there's nothing in my email that's driving attention to that logo to go to the homepage. I'm just establishing that convention. But also, Joyce, sometimes, and maybe this should be done, to your point, with separate emails as opposed to in one email. But maybe I'm offering 3 products. I'm going to have 3 separate calls to action and 3 buttons.
yes.
And then I can look at that data and say, oh, who picked which products?
Right.
Now I take that data and again,
that's fine. But it's a different type of business. Different type of business. So if I were business to business doing it that way, that would be unfocused.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm direct to consumer, that's fine.
Right.
Right. So for a business to business to send 3 different products to their clients, it clearly identifies you don't know who your clients are. So if you've got an industrial, a marine, a commercial, healthcare, and you're sending healthcare polymers for boats,
you're going to get those unsubscribes.
you're going to lose it. So you want to know who your customers are. If you're in a plastics business and you've got healthcare folks, and you've got marine folks, and you have commercial, it's all, all of these different types of folks. And you say to yourself, this time we're going to be talking about cement. So who has cement? Who needs cement? Healthcare needs cement. Schools need cement. Commercial needs cement. Marine doesn't need cement. Don't send your marine buddies that information. And don't load one email with 3 different products, because essentially marine people need to go find where they're at. And by that time, they may have gone through 2 paragraphs that have nothing to do with them. Gone.
So this kind of brings us back to the beginning, Joy, and I guess we could start to wrap it up with that. But it all has to start with the strategy, right? Yes. So, and you should be planning it in advance and monitoring your progress along the way.
And if you need to outsource it, then you need to outsource it.
Mm-hmm.
At some point in time, it becomes too much work. And that is the point.
Mm-hmm.
That email experts, that marketing experts, that creative experts, we're here because we know what we're doing. And when you start in the business and it's something pretty simple and you've got a simple strategy and you're with it, that's great. But at some point in time, it grows too big. Don't be afraid to reach out, because we're all a bunch of experts out here and we're here to help you service.
And by all means, don't drop it, because
don't halt. Exactly. Oh, it's too much. I can't do this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't do it anymore? No. Lighten it up. Look for somebody who can help you, a virtual assistant, somebody, somewhere.
Thank you. That's very helpful.
Thanks. Thanks for grilling me. I had a great time.
Anytime, Joy, anytime.
Well done. Stick a fork in me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Well, that's it for Email and Coffee, and I hope you enjoyed our little session. And so happy email marketing, y'all.
Cheers.
Cheers.